Rocco. And Nick and Jackie have Grace, Jane, and Claire. Rosette has Marissa and Elena, and Jackie and Anthony. Rosette and Lee. Jackie and Anthony have Ariana and Gabriella. Now, I don't know their birth dates, but I know that some of them were born in the same year.
Can you tell me a little about each of the 9 and what makes them special in your eyes?
You know, there's one overriding factor that makes them special, that they're all doing well academically. They've all achieved some kind of goal, and they've won, you know, being in the top grade. I think they classify them as, I don't know the wording they use anymore, but there are different honors, special honors and what have you. And all of them have achieved some form of honors. 2 of them run on a track team. Grace, who runs for St. Anthony, and Marissa runs for Santa Mauritius. And they've at times been in the same meets, and they cheer each other on as cousins. Jackie's girls were at one time in like cheerleading and that other activity. I don't know what they call it. That's something like cheerleading. They're in that sort of thing. Rocco is on the lacrosse and soccer team for St. Anthony's, and that's an achievement because he is a better lacrosse player than a soccer player, and to make the soccer team with all these kids that are really super was an achievement. So I'm very proud to hear that he made the soccer team. And Dante, of course, was on the Lehigh team that won the Patriot League championship last year. And what's important about that is that the team, the Loyola team that won the national championships, decided to join the Patriot League. So next year they will be part of the Patriot League too. So it's a prestigious league. And they just had an exhibition game out in California for some charity, inner city charity. They played Ohio State, and Dante was named player of the game. So he's a good player, and he's a good boy. When he comes to Long Island, he calls me and comes to say hello. Well, he may come and I don't know about it, and not say hello, but periodically I'll get a call and say, Papa, I'm home, and I wanted to stop in and say hello to you, so I do.
What sort of world would you like to see these kids grow up into?
Well, certainly a world with, without the fear of war, without the fear of terrorist attacks. Now that's a big order. And a world where they can earn a living because there are jobs available. Oh, jeez. For all jobs available for all levels. I'm not talking just about construction jobs and infrastructure repair, but as school teachers and artists and professional people. I'm not sure. One of them has said that she's interested in becoming a physician, so she's going to be seeking the pre-med program in college. That makes me proud. I'd like to see somebody choose to go into veterinary medicine. But whatever they wish to do.
What was the happiest moment of your life?
Happiest moment. Probably the birth of my first child. Yeah, I don't think anything can approach that. I mean, getting married was being alive was great. Being discharged from the Army, graduating medical school, getting married, graduating from medical school. But those are things that you can accomplish by making a choice or having hard work. The birth of a child is extraordinary. And then, of course, the others who, like, I still think and look at a human being, I look at a baby, and I'm just overwhelmed with amazement still. And that has not left me one bit. The saddest moment was the death of my mother, followed very quickly by the death of my wife. But since that was the first serious, close relative in the family, it was an overwhelming shock. The death of my wife, well, after having had the stroke and knowing that anything could happen, I didn't expect it. It was a shock, true, a surprising event. That was the second most, not far behind the first. The first was completely unexpected. The second was like expected someday, but not that quick. Yeah. My father, well, he was 99 and a half. I knew he was ready to go. And the other sad events are things that have to do with family unity. When that suffers, you can't help but feel touched by it, moved by it, and depressed by it. That's another very important factor in my in general attitude about existence. Yeah, it's the one where you can't do anything about the others. That one, the most you can do is, if it counts, pray that understanding will occur. Brought to the word, I don't know if I can quote it exactly. St. Augustine said, in important things, unity; in unimportant things, understanding; in all things, charity. So you try to do that. And I'm happy to say that I've tried to fit that category. I can be kind of excited about certain things, but we all can be, and I think my son says, Dad, whenever you say, look, at my age now, I'm entitled to this and that, he said, you're going to say something that you probably shouldn't say. He's probably right.
If there's one thing that you could change about yourself, what would you do? What would it be?
Change about myself. Turn the clock back sort of thing, or just change something?
Something that you wish you had done or had done differently, or if there's something just about yourself, a character trait that you'd like to change?
Yeah, probably not be so open about myself, in that I am, what you see is what you get with me. I mean, that's a trite expression, but I hardly have any big secrets. I mean...
That's not a negative, though, is it?
Well, if a lot of people, you don't know a lot about me. Basically, you know, I tell people how I feel about things and what I'm thinking, and so I wonder if maybe I am too open with how I feel, and I catch, I tell my kids how I feel, how much savings I have for them, and what their mother and I planned, and because they're my kids. My parents were open with me. I understood what they had and how hard they worked to get it, and so I would never waste it. I wanted to sell pretzels from a mushroom container, basket, to help bring money home, or to use it for me, or to help, you know. I understood where and how hard they worked to earn what they did, so I thought I would be open with my kids as well. Maybe that's not such a good idea.
What 3 qualities do you value most in a relationship?
A vulnerable honesty, understanding love, and I guess a lack of a hidden, I was going to say hidden agenda. I don't really mean that. Maybe just plain truthfulness.
What quality that you have would you like to further cultivate, to bring to the fore, to work on?
One that I wish I were better at doing, or?
Perhaps.
Oh, yeah. Quality. A quality I have that I would like to bring to the fore. I find that some things are very difficult for me. But once I understand them, and I can do it well, I can then explain it to other people better than the person who explained it to me, because I see the problems in explaining it. To give you an example, opening a combination lock on a safe. I listened to the guy explain it to me. I read the instructions and couldn't get the blessed thing to work until I sat down, got the instructions off the computer, which just gave general instructions. They didn't give you the numbers. They just told you how many times to turn it what way. Then I rewrote them for my son. And I have them, it's in my pocket. And I can explain to him how to open and close that combination lock better than the guy who installed the lock. I'm able to take more difficult subjects. I wish I had the opportunity to teach. That's basically what I'm saying. Because I found nothing easy. But once I learned it, I realized why I couldn't learn it, and I could then teach other people. So I'd like to do that. I wish I could do that. I'm too old to do that now. It's too far gone. No, I'm doing other stuff, but teaching, they didn't ask me to.
Well, along that same vein, what is it that you'd like to learn that you don't know yet?
Well, I'd like to get through this veterinary technician's course. I'd like to learn that well enough to pass the exam so I can then be a person without that's legitimately in the operating room. I am legitimately there now because I'm a student. But to have that burden removed from my shoulders and say, got it, it's out of the way, I don't need to do that anymore.
And be able to contribute.
Yeah, well, I'm contributing now, but I would like to have that thing out of the way because I've got 4 years to do it. So in the next 4 years, I don't have any pressure. I can get the course done, take the exam, and then the question is, where do I put this licensed veterinary technician, LVT? Does it go before or after the MD? Funny, isn't it? You know, I don't know what I could have done differently. I wish I were more profound in my ability to deal with personalities and understand personalities and maybe make some corrections years ago that I didn't make. Well, some people might say corrections implies that you did something wrong. Well, maybe I did something wrong, or I didn't do something I should have. But I look at all those things and say, well, you know, I did a pretty good job. I mean, this guy got off an ocean liner at 2.5 years of age and didn't know any English and did pretty well. Could he have done better? I suppose so. We all could have done some things better. But I think I did pretty well. Had a fairly successful marriage. Nothing's perfect, but that's as good as you could have it. You send your kids off into the world with an education and no debt, and in fact, a little bonus financial help and spiritual help.
Do you see the future speeding by as fast as the past did?
Well, I think the future will speed by. I signed up for this vet tech course, which is because they didn't have room in the day course, which is just as well. I'm taking the weekend evening version, which instead of being 2 years is 4 years, and they're giving me credit for a lot of courses I took already. So it's going to be a fairly easy, well, I got to study. I mean, I don't know all this stuff. Being a physician doesn't mean you know a lot about animals. But it's going to be 4 years. It's not like I'm saying, 4 years, oh, that's too long. Hey, you know what? I expect to live beyond 4 years. So the 4 years will go by, as the last 4 and the 4 before that went by. In the meantime, I will still attend lectures at Stony Brook. I will attend the Concorso Italiano with the cars. I'll bring my Maserati to the car show there. I'll go to the Center for Italian Studies, where they have lectures by different people, professionals and politicians and what have you, and people in the arts and the sciences who talk about Italy, and there's a lot to talk about there. I attend those lectures. It doesn't cost me anything. It's great. So I participate in that. I'll still be going to the personal trainer to get my body in as good a shape as possible. And hopefully I'll be able to re-attend those lectures I used to go to on a Tuesday afternoon at CW Post, given by a former editorial writer for the Newsday, who's a Pulitzer Prize winner, that we occasionally send emails to, and I'm happy to say he even sent me an email recently saying, thank you for sending me that article. I had missed it, and it will help me in my lectures. I intend to incorporate some of the material in there. So if I can write an email to a Pulitzer Prize winner on his topic and have him acknowledge it, to me means, hey, you know what? You're not all that far behind.
So you're not comparing your chronological age to your mental age?
No, my mental age is, unfortunately, the brain is not as much of a sponge as it is a colander. Is that the word? The sculapasta, we call it, where you put the macaroni and the water drains out. So it's beginning to be a little bit like that. So some of the stuff that goes in, unless I continue to use it, goes in and flows right out. So I will continue to use the stuff that I'm using, and I think I can keep Alzheimer's at bay. And physically, I can keep going. As far as the family, hey, I'm here to love them all. And if they wish to love me back, it's their option. I can't force people to love me. I can't buy their love. I can only offer it. And hopefully, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch. Hopefully, I merit it. And they'll go about their lives as they wish to. And someday I won't be around, but hopefully that'll be 20 years from now. Or maybe longer, I don't know.
How do you deal with losses of friends and acquaintances?
Well, with a certain understanding sadness. I know it's over. We're all going to go at one point or another. A little bit of regret that we weren't able to spend much more time together. But, you know, there's not much I can say. One of my pediatric friends that Jane and I and he and his wife used to go to dinner with on Saturdays, fairly, maybe once a month or so. He just died recently. And it was at his son's wedding that the night after he had chest pains and was taken to Long Island Jewish, and they did put in some stents, and we went to Puerto Vallarta, and Jane had a stroke. So it's like, wow, there was a connection there. But I understand, at some point we go. So what I plan to do is, as these meetings and these interviews and things, and the midterm exam is over now, and I'm starting to feel a little more energy, I told them, the 5 or 6 pediatrician friends of mine who are left and their spouses, that I'm going to invite them all over to my house. I haven't fixed the day yet because I didn't know how I'd feel after the surgery, and I'm going to make for them risotto, my style, which is excellent, I got to tell you. I'm going to make a big salad, and I'm going to have some breaded chicken cutlets and some mozzarella and tomatoes from Mama Lombardi's. And that's it. We're going to have a couple of bottles of wine, some beer if they want it. We're going to sit around the table and talk. Nothing fair. I can do all that myself. And we'll just sit there and talk before another one of us dies, although I didn't say it that way, basically. So I'm going to do that with people I've known for many years. What would I like them to think about me? And he gave us a lifestyle which allowed us to spring forward with the ability to achieve more in whatever field they wanted, because I took away some of the obstacles. I made sure that they had a good home, they had a family they could come to when they got pounded by the world around them, that I removed the obstacle of needing to provide finances. I provided those so that they didn't have to work to go to college, that I gave them example in what I did, so that they might follow whatever they think was correct in that, and disregard that which they think I did improperly. Whatever I did with the best of intentions. And so if there's a fault, they could say, well, you know, this is what Pop meant to happen by doing this. When he told you to, I don't know, turn off the TV set while you were studying, he did it so that you would concentrate on the material that you had to learn, not because he wanted to say to you, he didn't want you to watch TV while you were studying. When he said, I'm going to let you have a car so you can drive back and forth to wherever you were going, because I trusted you more, I wanted them to know that I did trust them. When they went away to college, I made sure each one of them knew how to change a tire. I made them change a tire in the street in front of the house. I said, this tire, which is not flat, make believe it's flat. Let me see what you're going to do to change the tire on a road. Obviously, you're going to pull over to the side. Let me see you do that. You're also responsible for a pretty serious piece of machinery, and I don't want you drinking when you're driving. I don't want you drinking to the point where you get drunk, and I don't want you to smoke. Now, some of them did smoke for a while and stopped. I'm sure they polished off a few cans of beer. I didn't, but I was never drunk in my life. Like I said, in Germany, I only had probably 2 beers during the whole stay.
Those are the things that your kids will remember you for. How about your grandkids? What do you want them to remember you for? What do you want them to say about Grandpa?
What they're going to say about me is that he loved us, and he wasn't a big shower of affection, but he did. He wanted us to kiss him hello and kiss him goodbye, which they most often did and sometimes didn't, because they were busy running around or had some sort of social awkwardness. And I remember as a kid, you didn't see men kissing each other hello and goodbye, but we did. I kissed my father hello and goodbye, and I kissed my children hello and goodbye, and I expect my grandparents to do that. And I expect them to be so self-confident in what they do that if anybody says to them, "That's weird," say, "No, it's not. That's my grandfather. And I kiss him when he comes, and I kiss him when he goes." We want them to look at, they don't have to go too far to find role models. All of these kids to just look at the relatives and say, "Boy." And Tom Marino was a Special Forces officer for a number of years in the Army. He was there. And our cousin in Italy, where his mother, wearing the sunglasses, is holding this little baby, looks like a little girl, is a general in the Italian Army. In Afghanistan and Iraq a couple of times. So we've got some important achievers in the family. They can look just at the family, say, "I just want to be like cousin so-and-so or uncle so-and-so," and won't have far to go to look for role models. So I hope that they look at their oldest grandparent as a role model in some ways and take whatever they can from the experience of those in the family who've gone through a lot of this and use it to their advantage. And take advice from those of us who are willing to give it if they are willing to listen. Not forget their heritage as far as their ethnicity, and when necessary, although I hope it's more than that, to lean on their spiritual heritage and know that you can ask God for help once in a while without being one of those people who only asks when you need it, and then when you don't need it, you don't know He's there. That doesn't work too well. And in our family, we haven't done that. We've been there when times were good, and when they were good, we remembered, at least I tell them to, go down to church and say thanks when you got what you were hoping for. Don't just pray like the devil to pass the exam. When you pass the exam, you go have a couple of beers. Go back there and say thanks. I mean, if they do it, they do it. And I tell them to, and I do it, so I hope that it seeps outward towards them.